We're speaking with Congressman Jeff Landry, Republican of the state of Louisiana. Congressman, before we get into the now infamous meeting that you decided not to go to, before we talk about that, let's get your opinion on the debt ceiling right now. Should we raise this?
Absolutely not, Paul. Certainly not. Just without any major concessions. Of course, I haven't seen anything that even remotely brings me into the maybe column. Absolutely not. I mean, and you know what amazes me is you have the administration, you have Timothy Geithner go out there and make a comment like, the credit worthiness of the United States depends upon us raising the debt ceiling. I mean, that is an oxymoron unto itself. I mean, you can't go to the bank and explain to the bank that you're spending outside of your means, that you're spending more than the amount that you're taking in, and expect the bank to give you a higher credit rating, or say, oh, Paul, your credit worthiness depends on how much more you can spend versus your paycheck. And that's the kind of ridiculous things that go on up here in Washington.
That's the thing. I mean, it sounds like a lot of members of the president's staff in particular and the Treasury Secretary, they're playing politics with this, saying this has to be raised. Are they just making this a political issue for the sake of politics?
Absolutely. That is absolutely. That's the reason I didn't go. I mean, I didn't try to disrespect the president. The problem is that I don't believe their rhetoric. Their actions have never matched their rhetoric. And frankly, when the administration and this president matches his action with his rhetoric, I will go and meet with him any time of the day. Day or night, it doesn't matter. But until they come up with something substantive that recognizes the problems of this country, that we have gotten ourselves into an enormous debt that we're piling on to our kids and our grandkids, then, I'm simply going to stay here on the Capitol steps and keep working to get us to a point where we're financially sound.
Well, that's very interesting. Let's talk about the meeting now. You said, quote, I have respectfully declined the president's invitation to the White House today. Not something you see from very many members of Congress. Was your idea basically, and you said the words, you don't want to be lectured at. Is that how it usually is when you talk to the president? Even when members of Congress, we all think it's different behind closed doors. Is it any different than when he's talking to the public at large and when he's lecturing us at large?
No, basically, look, I have watched him in his press conferences. I have watched him treat members of my own conference in meetings. I have listened to other members who have had meetings with him, and I'm not interested in going out there and having him lecture to me as to why we need to raise the debt ceiling when in 2007 he told America why we should not raise the debt ceiling. I mean, think about that was leadership. And so, again, I'm not interested in negotiating with myself.
Yeah, I mean, Congressman, what is the chance that the president's actually going to come around on any of the concerns or demands of the Republican caucus? I mean, it doesn't seem likely as an American out here in America. I mean, we're looking at this, we're seeing this debate go back and forth, and even though there was some rhetoric today, we're making progress, it doesn't seem like any progress is being made. What's your perspective on that at this point?
My perspective, and hopefully it never changes, is the same perspective that most Americans out there have, is that that's absolutely it's a fantasy land over here. I don't see good, solid dialogue that gets us to a place that says we need to raise the debt ceiling. Because frankly, we don't. What we need to do is quit spending outside of our means. What we need to do is prioritize our needs and our wants in this country. We need to look at the American people and be able to say, what do we need the federal government to do to keep you safe and to help create an economy where you have an opportunity to go out there and earn a great living.
You know, what's interesting about that, and you talk about making a living, and I know one of your key issues is really talking about gas prices and how it relates to offshore oil drilling. Now, has the president been responsive to you and other members of the Louisiana and Gulf Coast delegation about this, this issue of drilling off the coast of the United States?
No, he has not. In fact, before I came to Congress, the Louisiana delegation had sent him a letter asking to meet with him to discuss the issues of the moratorium and then the de facto moratorium. When I came into Congress, we signed at least two letters, one a couple of weeks ago, asking to meet, not even if we could not have a direct meeting with the president, to simply meet with his chief of staff. Not even a no thank you.
Wow. Okay, so he doesn't seem willing to talk on a lot of things, but you get invited to these meetings. I mean, Congressman, I have to say, as somebody who watches this every single day, it's good to see somebody actually standing up and saying, okay, enough rhetoric, I'm just going to sit this one out. If you did have a chance, though, to sit down with him again, first of all, would you take it at this point after the press that you've gotten after this one, and what would you say to him?
Well, look, again, I did not go to the White House
Sure.
to get a bunch of press. I went up there. I did not go because I believed that there was going to be no substantive agreement or no substantive conversation which is going to bring the two parties closer together. So if the president would come out and say, you know what, we need to do something with entitlement reforms. We need to look at block granting Medicaid to the states. We understand that we've gotten ourselves into a fiscal mess here. You can put Jeff Landry as the first person that'll go over there and discuss it with him.
Absolutely, sir. Well, Congressman, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.